I am a storyteller in every aspect of my life, from my career to what I've done in wrestling, with films, being a film producer, being an actor, and through my tattoos, I tell the story of my life. If people ask me how many tattoos I have, I typically say like 3, because most of them are just all connected together. I consider like one big tattoo. My back I did in big chunks throughout my wrestling career, but I had to because I was wrestling so much that I couldn't take the time needed to let them heal. I did my back and I let it set for so long without finishing that I had to go back and retrace and do my whole back over again. So my tattoo on my back, I've got to have close to 50 hours on my back just because I had to go over it so many times from letting it sit so long and not getting it finished. If you notice throughout my career, whenever I got injured and I was out for 2-3 months, I would always come back with new tattoos, which the company actually loved, because the more new tattoos you have, the more new action figures you have. So you can kind of date my wrestling career through my tattoos and through the tattoos on my action figures. I talk a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy, really not just changing my career, but changing my life, because it really just gave me a second shot. Because when I left wrestling, I literally lost everything. And I left it to go into acting, but I struggled for about 3 years because I just couldn't get work. I couldn't even get an agent. But I landed that part, and it just, after that, my phone started ringing, and I've been a working actor ever since I did the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The makeup process also changed a lot throughout the years. For the first film, which was the hardest film, the makeup process typically took about 5 to 6 hours to put on the application and about 2 hours to take it off. So I spent most of my day on set, but actually in the makeup chair. So I was there before everybody got there, and I was there well after everybody left, and didn't get much sleep. And when I look back on it, I don't know how I made it through that film. And I was so, happy and grateful to be there that I wasn't really looking at it as a hardship. It was just a huge opportunity for me. My first tattoo, I immediately break out in a sweat when anybody asks me that. It's long gone. It's not my proudest moment, but when I was 18 years old and tattoos weren't as common then, I went to the local tattoo shop, which wasn't a very nice place, and they typically weren't at that time. There was this old biker named Rick who gave me my first tattoo, and it was this heart that looked like it was cement, and around it, it said, "Heart of Stone." And I saw it, and I thought, yeah, that's tough. So he said, "Well, where do you want it?" And I said, "Well, I want it on my ass because I don't want my dad to see it. I don't want to get in trouble." And he did it. He put Heart of Stone on my ass, and I immediately regretted it. And I lived with it for years and got razzed so much through my wrestling career. Take a shower with the 20 other wrestlers who are just relentless. I finally got it covered up. It was just long gone. I have a cherry blossom tree on my back, and I said, well, just extend it down and make the roots a cover up. So that's what I did. I have the roots of a cherry blossom tree that covered up my Heart of Stone. I have a lot of cover-ups. I think cover-ups are, again, a part of your story, a part of your life story. You have regrets, you make mistakes, and so you try to fix them as best you can, and that's what they are. My cover-ups are repairs of mistakes. This is a cover-up. That was actually a girlfriend's name. This is an ex-wife's name. And my mom always said, don't put a woman's name on you, and I didn't listen. And so here they are, cover-ups, but, live and you learn. So this one, it used to be a team logo. I was a part of a team of a person I considered a friend and someone I really looked up to. And then he later came out publicly with some anti-gay statements, and turned out to be an extreme homophobe. And so I had a huge issue with it. It's a personal issue with me. My mom's a lesbian, and I just could no longer call him a friend, and so I had it covered up with this. Ooh, my most painful, so that's a toss-up. That's between my feet, which hurt. They were torturous, and the back of my knee here. The back of this knee, I actually started drinking in the middle of this tattoo because my tattoo artist was actually doing it at my house. And I said, just give me a few minutes. I went and took a shot, came back, and it still kept hurting, so I went and took a couple more shots. Came back, he got back into it, and I finally said, dude, you gotta leave. You gotta get out of my house. So I actually never finished this tattoo. The other ones were my feet. They just weren't as big, but they were just as painful. But I was able to get through these in a sitting, but they hurt. They were torture. So the tattoo that took the longest to heal was actually this one on my elbow. And the reason it took so long to heal is because my tattoo artist put it on, and I looked at it in the mirror, and I said, that doesn't look right. So he put the stencil up next to it, and realized that he put it on backwards. He was so nonchalant about it, saying, not a big deal, we'll fix it. So what he did was he whited it out, and then he tattooed it on again. So it's like getting 3 tattoos in one day in an area that's pretty sensitive, so it swelled out like a balloon, and it took weeks for the swelling to go down. But that is by far, it took the longest to heal, this tattoo here, which is a Gracie fighter symbol. You know, I have some are very personal to me, and you know, some are just things I liked when I was growing up, things I was a fan of. I have some, you know, Avengers and Guardians, which are personal to me, but I have Spectre, was also very personal to me, a film I did, James Bond film, and I have Wu-Tang Clan, RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, the originator of the Wu-Tang Clan, actually helped me get my start in films. Batman, just because I love, and Rockstar because, yeah, my favorite tattoo is this one. This is a portrait of my dogs, my older dogs. I have 3 new dogs. We lost him both to cancer. She's still with my ex-wife, but she's older now. But I am going to get save room for my newer dogs. I was always really just taught to be proud of my heritage. My mom's Greek, my dad's Filipino. I didn't really have close ties to my family, but I just, even my mom was just always made me very aware of who I was, what my background was, to always be proud of that. So I always kind of embraced that, being half Greek and half Filipino. Always very proud of my roots, and I display it on my body, a Filipino flag and a Greek flag, and also another Filipino flag and another Filipino sun. I think I really embraced it when I was older, and when I got to visit the Philippines, and when I got to visit Greece, and just kind of a homecoming feeling, especially when I went to the Philippines for the first time. I'm only half Filipino, from the United States, but they embraced me like I was 100% Filipino, and I was born and raised there. You know, that experience is never going to make me feel anything less in my life. It's just a dream. Like, it's just so surreal to go there to a country and have them just treat you like, you know, you're the prodigal son. I have a few tattoos that didn't turn out quite the way I wanted. So I have, I had this one. This raven is not exactly one I wanted this raven to look a lot more menacing. But I also have this tattoo here, and I found this really cool picture that I loved, and I really always wanted to do this, gentleman hooligan, because it's kind of always felt like who I was. I'm really from the streets. I grew up poor, and that was kind of life I knew until I was in my 30s. But I always consider myself a gentleman as well. I give a lot of respect to people just because that's just the person I am. That's how I was raised. But I found this cool picture, and it was Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders, and I asked John to alter it so it didn't look so much like Cillian Murphy. And I got it, and I thought, okay, that doesn't look exactly like I have a tattoo of Cillian Murphy on my thigh. But the first time I posted it on my social media, all I got was, oh my God, you've got a tattoo of Cillian Murphy. Well, yeah, I guess I do. It is what it is. I'm a fan, so, you know, a little embarrassed, but not ashamed. So Cillian, there you go. Your face is tattooed on my thigh. I have a Winnie the Pooh tattoo on the back of my leg, which I get asked about a lot. So I did a film called My Spy, with a little actress named Chloe Coleman, who is one of my favorite people in the world. And so we went out on the press tour, and at one outlet, we had to play true or false to see how well we knew each other. They asked Chloe, they said, true or false? Dave has a tattoo of Winnie the Pooh. And Chloe said, well, I know, you know, most people might think that Dave is big and mean and scary, so he wouldn't have a Winnie the Pooh tattoo. But I know Dave, he's like the sweetest guy ever, and he's just a big teddy bear, and I just love him to death. She went on and on, said all these great things about me, and she said, so yes, I think it's true, Dave has a Winnie the Pooh tattoo. And she was like, got the buzzer, wrong. And she was like, oh, she was so disappointed, and I was disappointed for her. And I said, I don't have one, but because I love you so much, I'm going to get one. So I got a Winnie the Pooh tattoo for my little co-star, Chloe Coleman. My latest tattoos were my 2 neck tattoos. So one is a Blade Runner reference, and the other is a Basquiat crown. Huge, massive fan of Basquiat. He's by far my favorite artist. I do have a tattoo shop because it's always been a dream of mine to own a tattoo shop, just because I love the culture, I love the environment, I love sitting around tattoo shops, I love sitting around barber shops, I love the conversation that goes on, the camaraderie. So the name of my tattoo shop is DC Society Inc. DC has a double moniker for me. It's I'm from Washington, D.C., but it also stands for Dream Chaser, which I have used that hashtag for years on my social media. That's kind of the way I look at my life. I've just chased my dreams, no matter what they were, how crazy they seemed. And, you know, for some reason, it seems to work out for me.